Here's the moment that defines every single leader. What happens right after somebody screws up? Not when the numbers are good and not when the store is humming, and definitely not at the Saturday sales meeting where everybody's smiling, but in that moment, that instant, right after things go wrong, because that is where your culture shows its true face. Bad bosses, they yell, blame, threaten, and retreat. But good bosses, elite leaders, they reflect, slow down, learn, and then lead through the learning. Because how you fight, how you listen, and how you learn, it shapes more than your results. It shapes who your people become under your leadership. Because you're not just managing metrics, you're forming mindset. That's what leadership, elite leadership, is all about. Building mindsets in your people because they're under your influence. I'm Chris Hunsaker, and this is the Dealership War Room. Leadership fire, 7 minutes, built daily, fueled intentionally, and delivered relentlessly. When something goes wrong in your dealership this week, please don't react, reflect. And if you want the framework to do it right, then text the number on your screen and download today's Leadership Fire Guide, which will give you a step-by-step guide on how to lead under pressure. Today, we hit the next 3 beliefs of Dr. Sutton's good boss beliefs. In other words, what do elite operators believe? This is how you lead through conflict, mistakes, and ideas. It is the battlefield for growth itself. Belief number 7 is I aim to fight as if I'm right, but listen as if I'm wrong, and then teach my people to do the same. This is emotional intelligence in combat. Yet most leaders flip this. They fight as if they're absolutely right and listen as if they're being attacked. And that kills learning. The great ones, elite leaders, they argue ideas and not egos. And they foster healthy friction. This is so critical. It's really debate without the drama. In your next one-on-one, try this instead. Instead of defending your position with your employee or your manager, ask this question. What am I not seeing? Because that one sentence, that one phrase, it can save an entire relationship, an employee, or a month's worth of morale. Belief number 8, one of the best tests of my leadership and my organization is what happens after people make a mistake. This one separates the amateurs from the pros, and it really is a separation. Bad bosses think fear drives performance. All fear does is it produces silence. Because when your people are afraid to make a mistake, they stop trying, they stop thinking, and mostly they stop caring. The best bosses, the elite leaders, they treat mistakes like data. It's a signal to diagnose, not a sin to punish. And so they're going to approach the situation differently. They ask questions like, what can we learn from this? Instead of, who do I need to blame? And that one shift over time, it starts to build a culture of responsibility instead of reactivity. Belief number 9, innovation is crucial. And my job is to encourage my people to generate and test new ideas. But it's also to kill off most of the bad ideas and even most of the good ones too. That's wisdom. You want creativity, but not chaos. And too many ideas without a filter, it just leads to confusion. Great bosses create space for wild thinking, but then they got to get their people to measure and test and decide fast, because you don't need to accept every idea to prove that you're open-minded. What you need to do is decide on the ones that are best and then have the courage to say no to everything else. When you combine these 3 beliefs and this becomes your leadership style, this becomes the way that you focus, the way that you work, you build a culture that learns faster than it fails. A team that fights smart, listens deeply, and uses mistakes as fuel. You start to build what I call unstoppable culture. If you're ready to stop leading alone and start leading with velocity, then pay attention or watch out for the pre-registration link to the Velocity Mastermind. This is where leaders stop talking about culture and start building it, because iron sharpens iron. And in November is where it all begins. Here's your execution bridge for the day. It's called the 24-hour rule. And whenever anything goes wrong, a bad CSI, a missed deal, a botched repair, what I'm going to ask you to do is stop yourself from reacting in that moment. Give it 24 hours. And in that window, I want you to ask these 3 questions. Number 1 is reflect. What actually happened? Not what you're feeling. What are the facts? And number 2, I want you to reframe it. What can we learn about this? What system failure can we extract from this as a learning? So amidst the problem or the difficulty, what's the golden nugget? What's the learning? What's the piece that you can take out of that as the learning for this particular situation? And third, once you've cooled down, you've created that gap between the stimulus and the response. Now focus on what did I learn? And then use that to drive how are you going to coach this person instead of how you're going to punish this person. Do that for a week and you will feel the temperature in your store change because you're going to start leading from strength instead of from stress. And everybody in the store will see it, feel it, and they will respond to it. How you handle mistakes is how you teach your people to handle life. That's why leadership, especially elite leadership, is a pretty heavy burden because what you do really matters in the lives of people that you lead. If you want to build a culture that fights well, listens deeply, and learns fast, then download today's Leadership Fire Guide. It gives you the 24-hour rule and breaks it down step by step so you can start using it today. Just text the number on the screen. It's free, it's short, and it'll help you turn mistakes into momentum. Tomorrow, we're going to move into the final 3 beliefs of how elite leaders, great operators, execute with integrity, consistency, and self-awareness. Until then, lead with courage, protect with purpose. Go out today and create some leadership fire, and I'll see you tomorrow in the Dealership War Room.